Welcome back for another deep dive, and today we're really diving deep into Christopher Nolan's Memento.
Yeah, this one I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I love this film.
Oh, it's such a great pick. And, I love a film that, makes you work a little bit, makes you think, and
Yeah.
this one certainly does. Um, so you guys have given us some really, really fascinating background on how this film came to be, and I'm excited to kind of unpack all that.
It's a really interesting behind-the-scenes look
Yes.
at how this film came to be.
Yeah. So to kick things off, I kind of love this, and it speaks to the nature of this film. Jonathan Nolan, right, Christopher Nolan's brother, pitches the idea for this film not in like a Hollywood studio office, but on a road trip.
How appropriate, right?
How perfect is that, right?
As if the movie isn't mind-bending enough.
Right. Exactly. Get conceived on a road trip.
Exactly. So they're driving cross-country. Jonathan starts, brainstorming this idea about memory with Christopher. And lo and behold, by the time they get to L.A., they've got, the bare bones of Memento.
It's funny how life imitates art, right?
Right.
Because road trips are about fragmented memories,
Totally, yeah.
You remember that one vista you stopped at?
Yes.
Remember that diner you had? You don't necessarily remember the hours in between.
Yes, exactly.
So it's just very interesting how that organically wove its way into the creative process, even if unintentional.
Right. And you wonder if, how much of that is, their own experience kind of seeping into their storytelling.
Which, by the way, Jonathan Nolan, very successful in his own right, went on to create Westworld, which, if you guys haven't seen it,
Show.
Fantastic show, right?
Yeah.
Really, really smart. But so we've got this movie about memory told in reverse. Was that always the plan? Did Christopher Nolan always see that being told in reverse?
It seems so, and he says he decided to tell the story backwards to kind of, to mirror the protagonist's inability to form these new memories.
Right. Yeah.
To illustrate it, kind of put us in his shoes.
Right. Yeah. And that's such a bold choice, and I think it makes the film so effective.
Absolutely.
Because it really does put us in Leonard's shoes, that feeling of disorientation, trying to piece together what just happened, what happened before. And it's like we experience the film the way he experiences life.
And it makes you wonder how much of what we're seeing is actually happening,
Right.
Because it's all subjective.
It's so subjective. And it really, it's funny. It reminds me of those stories that have the unreliable narrator. Because you're like, are we getting the truth or are we getting Leonard's, messed up version of the truth?
Exactly.
It's so well done. But, all these things kind of factor into it. But I think also to really bring this film to life, it takes a really special team to get something like this made.
Right.
And this one seems like it wouldn't have happened without Emma Thomas,
Sure,
Christopher Nolan's wife,
yeah,
and producing partner,
right.
Who, by the way, has worked on all of his films. Which tells you something about that partnership, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think her role as producer in this is very key.
Yeah.
Because producers, they don't always get the credit they deserve, but they're the ones that are really
fighting to get these films made.
And something as, that's this different, this abstract about a guy who can't make new memories, it's told in reverse.
Right.
Good luck pitching that.
Yeah, exactly. You need someone really strong who
believes in it.
Exactly, exactly. And clearly she saw something, right?
Yeah.
She's like, this is important. This needs to be made.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that are special and I think, help elevate this film even more is this cast. I mean, you've got Carrie-Anne Moss coming off of The Matrix, which was huge.
Yeah.
That's a big get for this film.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that lends a certain amount of
credibility.
Yeah, credibility.
Yeah.
And
buzz.
And buzz, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the story about how Joe Pantoliano got cast. So Joe Pantoliano
as Teddy, yeah.
Right, as Teddy, he was often typecast as the villain.
Right.
And so you have to wonder, how much does that play into
how we see him? Yeah.
Yeah, how we perceive that character.
Well, and it makes you wonder too, do we inherently distrust Teddy?
Right.
Because of those roles, or
because we're used to seeing him that way.
Because we're used to seeing him that way, right?
Right.
It's so interesting. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Well, and speaking of things that are interesting, I love when I watch a movie, if I love it, then I love to kind of dig in and find out all these little
tidbits,
yeah, of how it was made.
right?
And there are some really good ones in this. Did you find, were there any like that you kind of stumbled on when you were?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like Christopher Nolan, for instance,
Yes.
dubbed one of Joe Pantoliano's lines in the film.
What? No way.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Tell me more.
So there was a line in the confrontation scene with Teddy and Leonard
Okay.
that that Nolan wanted. He wasn't happy with the delivery.
Okay.
And Pantoliano wasn't available to come back in and re-record it.
Okay.
So Nolan, ever the problem solver,
Right.
stepped up and did his best. Pantoliano
Oh my,
impression.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's pretty great.
That's so cool. I did not know that. That's such a great.
Yeah, and speaking of meta,
Yes.
there's the whole Stephen Tobolowsky casting
Right, as Sammy Jenkins.
as Sammy Jenkins. Yeah.
Yes.
He during his audition, he told a story about how he had temporary amnesia after surgery
Oh, wow.
from the pain medication.
Wow.
And Nolan thought this was like
It's crazy.
crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
Like life imitating art or art imitating life.
That's amazing. It's like sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Absolutely.
That's wild. I did not know that one either. I love that. And speaking of kind of stories within stories, and this one always makes me laugh, the Batman connection, which, I just think is hilarious.
Right. The bat symbol. You can see the bat
True
symbol
background, yes.
in the background in Memento.
It's so funny.
It's great.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And what's even funnier is it's in his film Following,
That's
which
right.
predates
Yeah.
this one. So it's like
Like he knew.
he knew. He was like, I'm going to be the Batman guy, which is so funny. But yeah, do you think it's intentional? You think he was like putting those Easter eggs in there?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but it's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah. But I think whether intentional or not, it just adds
Another layer.
another layer to it for people
Who notice it, yeah.
who notice it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sparks conversation.
Right. You want to go back and watch it again.
That's it.
And yeah. Yeah. Well, and speaking of things that you want to go back and watch again, we've got to talk about Guy Pearce.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, come on.
He's fantastic in it.
He's so good. so good in this. And he really embodies Leonard. I mean, like he brings this
yeah.
real vulnerability to the role and this kind of like almost childlike, confusion at times. But I mean, he embodies it. And what's so interesting is he decided to play each scene
As if
it were new.
it was a brand new experience,
Yeah.
which is really interesting as an actor.
That's got to be really hard.
To make that choice.
Because how do you keep track as an actor of like
Yeah.
what you know and what you don't know?
Where you're at in the story.
Where you're at in the story? Like how did he even it's
really interesting. From what I understand, he relied a lot on instinct.
really
So he would kind of just react in the moment as if it was
wow.
a fresh experience. So
Wow. That's interesting. Wow. It really, I mean, it makes it so effective.
it's effective.
Because you feel his confusion, you feel his
Yeah.
frustration. And,
Totally. And it really drives home that choice of telling the story in reverse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
Because we're kind of denied those aha moments.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That would clue us into the bigger picture.
Yeah, those context clues that you get. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's so smart. And it really does, it makes it so you never really know.
You never really know what's going on.
If Leonard is, like, is he
If he's doing the right thing.
right, is he the hero of his own story?
Right.
Like, is he even a reliable narrator? I don't know.
And that's the beauty of it, is that it stays with you. It really makes you think.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it such a great film.
Absolutely.
It's more than just entertainment. It's an experience.
It's an experience. I love that. It really is. And you're right. It really does stay with you. It's almost like we're watching him try to, like, when you see those time-lapse videos of like a house of cards being built,
Right.
And it's like that, but then like a hurricane comes in and just blows it all away. Like that's what it feels like to me.
Right. He's constantly trying to rebuild, and it's never going to be.
It's never going to be what it was.
Right.
Right. And I think what makes this movie so effective is it does make us question like how much of what we think we remember is actually true.
How much of it is just the narrative we've created in our mind.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yes. It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like I love it. I love this movie. I love how it makes you think. So are you saying like there is no answer? Like
Right.
did Nolan like intentionally like
Intentionally.
create a puzzle that has no solution?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think there's no answer. I think the truth in Memento
Yeah.
is less about like a concrete answer
Huh.
and more about just the
The pursuit of it.
the pursuit of it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's about, Leonard's journey. It's about this kind of this desperate struggle to make sense of
Okay.
his existence,
Yes. Yeah.
even if it means like clinging to these
Half truth.
half-truths
Well,
and these fragments.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's not really about the destination. It's more about like the journey,
Yeah, it's about the journey.
which is so interesting because it's, again, we talked at the road trip,
Right.
in the beginning, it's like it all kind of ties together.
It does. It does.
It's so, so good.
Yeah. And you mentioned those, those hotel room scenes, like where he's, you know,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
scribbling all that out and
So
everything.
good. Yeah. And he's like putting it all together and trying to figure it out. You had mentioned too, he improvised a lot of that, which is,
He did. He improvised a lot of that, which is,
how do you even do that?
I know as an actor,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
to have that kind of, just to be that present in the moment and not be tied to,
Right.
to not
Building
know.
script.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Wow. Wow. But it's so effective. Like you feel it.
You feel the weight of his condition,
Yes. Totally.
like through those scenes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. This movie, I think it really does. It makes you it makes you confront the limitations of our own memories and the subjectivity of it all.
Yeah. What is true?
Right. What is true? Yes. And it's not just this movie. I mean, I think it's
That's life, right?
it's life. Like that's the
Yeah.
point of this whole thing, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's like how do we know what we know? I don't know. That sounds so existential, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's true though, right?
It's true.
I don't know. I love it. This movie is so good.
It's so good.
And I love how much it makes you think, and
It's such a trip, but it makes you think. It sticks with you.
it does. It does.
Like you could see it again and again.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's one of those movies that, like, I feel like every time you watch it, you pick up on something new.
Totally.
You notice something different,
Yeah, yeah.
which I love.
For sure.
Awesome. I mean, Memento, everybody, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it.
Multiple times.
Yeah, watch it multiple times. Take notes.
Yes.
Like Leonard. Yeah, this was what? This was like his, what, second film?
Yeah, the second or third film.
Yeah, and it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so well done.
And it makes you think, right?
Uh,
It's one thing to forget where you put your keys,
right.
but imagine like having to tattoo life-altering facts onto your skin
Yeah.
just to be able to function, right?
Ah.
It's incredible.
And it makes you wonder how much of our identity is tied to what we remember.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the film, it doesn't just tell Leonard's story, right? It puts you in his head.
Yeah.
It makes you experience the world as fragmented as he does, like how the screenplay jumps between those color and black and white sequences.
Right. Yeah. It's like we're seeing the world through Leonard's eyes. So it's
Yeah.
really effective. But yeah, it can be a little disorienting if you're not ready for it.
Absolutely. So like you were saying, the key to understanding the narrative is to understand Leonard's condition, right? Like his anterograde amnesia. It's not just a plot device. This is driving the whole film.
Right.
Yeah. So let's retrace his steps. So we start with him at the derelict building.
Yeah.
Kind of shocking, right? But then the screenplay pulls us back,
Mm-hmm.
rewinding to his time at the discount inn, his encounters with Natalie. What did you think about that whole part of the screenplay?
Well, yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you get the sense that he is struggling, right? Because you have the Polaroid photos, you have these notes that he's leaving for himself. It's all very, very meticulously planned out.
It's like he's creating a manual for navigating his own mind.
Right.
Don't believe his lies on the Polaroid.
Hmm.
Talk about a permanent record. What stands out to you about the way that he's trying to manage his condition?
It just shows the lengths he has to go to just function on a basic level. And you see that throughout the screenplay, those tattoos, the notes. It's all about holding on to those fragments of information.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think, is he in control or is he being manipulated because of his condition?
Yeah.
Think about Natalie, right?
Yeah.
She seems to be helping him, but there's that underlying tension there. And then you've got Dodd,
Right.
who Leonard finds tied up in his motel room.
Yeah.
And there's the note that says, get rid of him?
Ask Natalie.
Yeah, exactly.
What is going on here?
Like,
Well,
is he reacting or is he responding? It's difficult to tell.
yeah, and it makes you question, is anyone reliable in this film? Because we're kind of kept off balance, just like Leonard is.
Right, exactly.
We don't know who to trust.
And this is where things get even more interesting. Remember those black and white sequences? Sammy Jenkins?
Yeah. Yeah, what's interesting about those is they almost act as like a parallel to what Leonard is going through, this whole other story about memory and loss.
Like a story within a story.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes you question what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Nolan is holding up a mirror
Yeah.
to Leonard's condition.
Yeah.
Sammy also has anterograde amnesia.
Right.
And we hear about his tragic fate through these phone calls, right?
Yeah, yeah.
While Leonard is at the motel.
And Leonard keeps telling that story over and over and over.
He does.
Like he is trying to convince himself
Yeah.
or somebody else that it's real.
Like he's clinging to a life raft.
Yeah.
He needs something to hold on to.
Yeah.
He needs some framework for understanding his own condition.
Yeah.
And then there's Memento Mori, the short story, which takes that and goes even further.
Yeah, it does. It gives you Mrs. Jenkins' side of the story.
It does.
Which is just heartbreaking.
Oh, it's brutal.
Just brutal.
To think that she is so desperate to reach her husband that she's giving him insulin injections.
I know. It's just like, how far would you go?
Yeah.
You know, to try to get through to somebody.
To make them understand.
Yeah, to make them, remember.
It's sad. But it makes you think, is Sammy even real?
Right.
Or is he just, like, something from Leonard's broken mind?
Is he a figment of his imagination?
Yeah.
Is he projecting his own guilt onto this other person, onto this other story?
Yeah.
We don't know, and I think that's the brilliance of it.
I know. That's what makes it so difficult. It's like a puzzle where the pieces don't quite fit. And just when you think you're starting to get a handle on it, you remember when Mrs. Jenkins goes to Leonard and she begs him, tell me the truth about Sammy, even if it's a lie.
Yeah.
I just need something.
She just wants closure.
Yes. And that's exactly it. She wants closure, even if it's a fabrication. It's like, what does it even mean? How do we define truth?
Right. If we tell ourselves something enough, does it become true to us? You know, even if it's not real.
And that's the thing. It's like, how much of our reality is just what we tell ourselves is real?
Yeah. And then you start to think about, okay, if we're all kind of operating on these subjective memories,
Exactly.
like what is real?
Is anything real? I don't know. It's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought.
But it makes the climax of Memento even more powerful.
Yeah.
Because it just throws everything you thought you knew out the window.
Actually, yeah.
We're going along, and we're piecing this together with Leonard, and all of a sudden, the ground falls out from under you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
And we're with Leonard in that derelict building. The tension is building, and we're with him as he confronts Jimmy, believing that he's the one who killed his wife.
Right. And the way Nolan wrote the screenplay for that part, with these short, fragmented sentences,
Oh, yeah.
it puts you right there.
It does.
Like, you feel like you're in Leonard's head.
Totally. It's like you can't breathe almost. It's claustrophobic.
Yes.
And just when you think it couldn't get any more intense, those words come out of Jimmy's mouth as he's dying.
I know.
Sammy. Remember Sammy.
What? Why would he say that?
What does it mean?
If he's really John G., why is he bringing up Sammy? It's
Right.
like, okay, now I really don't know what's going on.
Like, that's a piece of the puzzle that should fit, but it doesn't. And then Teddy arrives, and Teddy just drops this truth bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a mind-blowing moment. What did you think when you read that part of the screenplay for the first time?
I had to go back and read it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait a minute.
What just happened?
He already did this.
Right. He already did this. He already found the guy.
Well, a year ago.
It's insane. Teddy orchestrated this whole new revenge, right?
Yeah.
To give Leonard a purpose.
But it's a lie. It's all built on a lie.
Yeah. I mean, how messed up is that?
It's so messed up.
That someone could manipulate you in such a way.
I know. And you don't even realize it. You're just going along thinking you're doing the right thing.
And that you're getting closer to the truth. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, who's the hero and who's the villain here? Is there even such a thing? Or is it way more complicated than that?
Right. I mean, is Leonard a victim?
It's really tough to say. He's both. And then he gets in that Jaguar at the end. I mean, talk about a chilling image.
Yeah.
And Teddy's words are just echoing. You lie to yourself to be happy. We all do.
And Leonard knows it. He
Yeah.
knows that he's choosing to believe a lie.
He has to,
Yeah.
because it gives him purpose. It gives his life meaning, even if it's all a fabrication.
Even if it's based on a lie, that's his reality.
It's bleak. It's a really bleak ending.
It is.
Because it ends where it began, right? He's starting the cycle all over again.
It's an endless loop.
It makes you wonder, did he learn anything? Or is he just going to keep repeating the same mistakes?
Yeah. Right. Can he break free from that cycle? Or is he destined to repeat it forever?
I don't know. It's a tough one. But that's what makes Memento so brilliant. It makes you ask those questions. It makes you think. What about you? What's the biggest takeaway for you after this whole deep dive?
I think for me, the most unsettling thing is how it makes you question your own memories.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't all have Leonard's condition.
Thank goodness.
Right. But we all rely on our memories. And Memento just takes it to this extreme. Like, what if you really couldn't trust your own past?
It's a scary thought.
It is scary. Like, how much of what we believe is actually true and how much is just our own perception?
It's true. The line between what we remember and what actually happened, it can get really blurry. And Memento forces you to confront that. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it for this deep dive. Memento is one of those films that really stays with you, right?
Absolutely.
It's thought-provoking, it's unsettling, and it definitely makes you appreciate the power, but also the fragility of our own memories.
For sure. And maybe look twice at what we choose to believe.
Yeah, maybe don't get any tattoos.
Yeah, maybe skip the tattoos.
Until you're absolutely sure about it.
Oh.
Well, this has been another deep dive. We hope you enjoyed it. And be sure to check back with us soon for another cinematic journey.